Now looking at it from the side, check this out. So much free space. Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the Cooler Master HAF 700, the Berserker. Cooler Master did send me this case to review, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in the HAF 700, the link to it will be in the video description. Here's a look at the retail box and packaging. This thing is massive. Look at this. Amazing. I've also reviewed the HAF 700 Evo. That thing is just as big. These are massive PC cases, jam-packed full of a lot of great features, fantastic airflow as you would expect with a high airflow case like this. Plenty of room to fit any size GPU. You get the idea there. We also have our tech specs on this side. Feel free to pause the screen to check those out and look at them in more detail. But basically, it's an E-ATX high airflow PC case with a mesh front panel, dual 200mm Sickleflow ARGB fans, front and center, some additional fans as well all throughout the case that we'll check out here. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead, let's open it up and look at the contents. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our user guide and manual. This is very thorough and detailed, going over everything you could possibly need to know about this case with really helpful charts and diagrams. I mean, the attention to detail to this is top notch. This will help you install, set up, and configure the case however you see fit. They have additional customer service and contact information on the back. Next, we have our hardware kit. This is awesome in a nice plastic reusable case here with all of our screws, cable management options. You get the idea. They provide you with everything you need right here in this kit. We can open it up so you can take a nice peek and look at it. I love having these on hand, and it's great to organize any loose screws, parts, components, things like that. And then lastly, we have the case itself. Let's go ahead. Let's look at this in more detail. First up, we're looking at the top of the case. It's so large. We're going to have to look at it in two halves here on this video. So here's the first half. Get a feel for the design up at the top. It looks really cool. Now we'll look at the other side. Here's a look at the second half of the case from the top up here. So we have our mesh venting moving along to the back side right here, where we have a sticker to pull this top panel to unlock it. There is a screw down here that we have to remove too. So unscrew that, pull this out, and then you can remove the side panels on this case. Let's go ahead. Let's look at the top now with this panel removed. We have that top panel removed. Look at all the room we have in here to mount whatever we want, whether it's a radiator, fans, anything along those lines. This is the back half. Now let's look at the front half. Looks the same. The pattern continues on, and then we have the very front panel and cover right here. Now you're looking at the front panel right here with our mesh along the sides, our two 200mm ARGB fans, and we have USB galore on both sides with our power button. So everything's got a really nice design and scheme to it. I like that all of our connection options are right here out the front of the case. You may notice too, if I twist it around a little bit, we got our HAF logo in branding. I think that looks pretty sleek. Now let's take the front panel off. All right, we have that front panel off. There's just a nice little lever you have to press up on and you can pull it off. Look at these fans. Those things are massive. I love it, love it, love it. Now let's look at the side panels. All right, we're looking at the main side right here where we took off our tempered glass panel. Our two 200mm fans in the front. We have two 120mm fans in the back. All of them are going to be ARGB. We got our HAF logo and branding right here. Look at all of our different cable management options and routes and all the space we have up at the top and along the side for additional custom water cooling. Whatever you want, you have airflow galore with this case. I'm going to slide it up. We also have a bottom right here where we can actually adjust this if we want to pivot or tilt that up at an angle. We have the ability right there. Our expansion along the back. So much room and space. This thing is massive. Now we're looking at the back side with our back panel removed. We also have this little lever up at the top to unlock. We can slide this out to reveal the inside in our main channel right here with a lot of our different hubs for our fans and our LEDs. So we got all that there. Look at all the hard drive mounting options we have. We have 4 3.5-inch drive bays tucked on the side right here. Plenty of room for our power supply. Again, let me pull this up a little bit. You can see the bottom here with some additional cable management channels. We have these nice clips. We can keep everything organized along the sides, right up the middle. Oh my goodness, so much room for whatever storage you want to add to a case like this. You can accomplish it here. Looking back up at the top, we have some additional slots and spots. Again, you can get really creative with what you want to do here. Massive, massive, massive amount of room for hard drives, 2.5-inch SSDs, obviously whatever your motherboard has, some M.2s, NVMe's. But this is a look at the backside, and I really like having a panel like this. Line up the arrows right there in the triangle, and that will help you hide your cables even better. So just keep that in mind. They do a nice job to allow you to tidy everything up, especially if you're going to jam pack this PC full of all those drives. You want to use so many fans, things like that. They do a good job giving you plenty of room to be able to configure this how you want. Now we're peeking at the back side here where we have our two 120mm exhaust fans, additional venting and grating along the back side. This is where our motherboard's going to go, all of our expansion slots for GPUs, things like that, and our power supply cutout right here on the side. You know it's a massive case when you have your expansion slots and your power supply side by side. We can't forget about the bottom of the case. So this is the back side of the case. Our power supply, expansion slots, everything's going to be on this side. But I wanted to show you how thick the gap is here for the legs. So there's plenty of airflow at the bottom. We also have a removable filter that we can clean out as needed, which is really nice. So that's here, and then we'll look at it from this angle. Here's the front side with our front panel. We have that panel still off. There's where it's going to clip right in, and you can come down here and unclip it to remove the front panel. But check that out, massive stand and legs with some nice ground clearance there. Definitely probably around maybe 3 inches or so of clearance. So if you are going to set this on carpet or something like that, there should still be plenty of breathability and room. I don't know if I made this clear or showcased it properly, so I wanted to go over it again. We have 5 fans included with this case, our two 200mm ARGB fans, along with 320mm Sickleflow ARGB fans. And now there's nothing left for us to do besides build a PC. All right, we got our PC built. We hardly utilized any of the space with our HAF 700. This case is massive, so easy to build in. Even using our MSI godlike motherboard, there is just so much space to really configure this however you want and to build with ease. All of the fans look so nice. The beautiful 200mm fans up front. We also put our cooler and radiator out back. Now let's look at it up close. Here's a look at the front of the build with our two 200mm ARGB fans with the Cooler Master. Purple selected right now as our color of choice. And we do have an illuminated power button right there. I love the look of this case from the front with those massive fans and all of our USB. Now looking at it from the side, check this out. So much free space. If we want to cram this full of fans or hard drives, we have plenty of room in here. We do have triple fans at the bottom. I'm testing out a couple of different fans here. So with the Mobius 120, this one is not RGB. But look at this, we can adjust, tilt, or remove the bottom base plate if we don't want it on there. Our beautiful RTX 3080 fits great. All of our USB 3.0 connectors, USB Type-C, main power. I mean, look at that. This is a massive motherboard. The MSI godlike. So much room for cable management, routing everything how we want it. Our cooler is exhausting out the back. I thought this was really neat. We had the perfect cooler for this. It's awesome. Love, love, love it. We'll look at the front panel again right here from the inside. Bright fans. Looks so good. Now we're looking at it from the back side. So much ventilation, so much room for expansion. We have our power supply right there. It looks so small and tiny in this case. And now here's a look at the very back. Y'all are gonna get a kick out of this here in just a second when I remove this cover. I love this cover and you're gonna see exactly why here. Everything's managed nicely down the side. Again, look at all the hard drive options we have. And in here, don't forget about that. There's our power supply. Tucked right in there. Now the moment of truth. Oh my gosh. I did this on purpose so you could see that you don't have to cable manage. You can just tuck it all in there with this panel and nobody is gonna know, right? Nobody's gonna know. You'll know though. But I thought that was pretty cool. Look at how clean that looks when the panel's back on. Nobody would have any idea here that we have this bundle of wire down at the bottom. But plenty of options. You want to tidy it up, you can do that. If you don't, that's the beauty of a case that's like this. It just tucks away and looks so good. Even though you'll still have a back panel on top of that, so nobody should be able to see it anyways. But all of our hard drives we could use. Really nice and super easy to build with. Now with the studio lights off, I thought we'd take a quick look at the RGB again. Look at how pretty it is from the front. I love how those fans look. And then we'll kind of do a little bit of a side profile here. And then we'll look at it from the side here. And again, we hardly have any fans even in this case. We have 3 at the bottom, 2 that are RGB, and then we have the 2 on our cooler exhausting out the back. You could cram so many more up top and along the side. Now let's talk about thermals and performance. So currently the PC's powered on, it's at idle. We have all of the panels on. Here's all of our different temperature settings for our motherboard, the CPU, our M.2 drive, and our GPU. So our motherboard ranges anywhere between, it looks like, 24 degrees Celsius all the way up to 39 degrees Celsius. For our CPU, the 11600K, we're currently showing right around 25 degrees Celsius or so, with a minimum of 23 and a maximum of 37. For our M.2 drive, we're at 33 degrees Celsius across the board for our min, max, and current value. And for our GPU, again, not being utilized right now, we're at 23.3 degrees Celsius with a minimum of 21.7 and a maximum of 23.4. Now let's go ahead, let's put this PC at full load and check out the temps again. All right, we're trying to bring this computer to its knees right here. Currently, we've maxed out the CPU using Cinebench and the GPU using Furmark. Here are the temperatures we're getting now. First up, you're looking at the motherboard again with all of our system temps, nice and summarized for us. But let's talk about some of the key ones right here. So our CPU currently at our max temperature of 64 degrees Celsius, fluctuating down to 62, 60 sometimes. You can see it's dipping there a little bit, but we peaked at 64. And then our MSI M450, which is our M.2 drive, that went up from 33 to 40 degrees Celsius, and that is at our peak temperature right now. I wanted this case to get really, really warm with everything running. It's been going for maybe about 10 minutes or so right now. And then we have our GPU. Our max value was 69.1 degrees Celsius. Currently, it's hovering right around 65 degrees Celsius, give or take a couple of decimal places there. But there we go. That's under max load and stress with our configuration. So you can get a feel for how this case is going to be able to manage the airflow. And obviously that's going to be very dependent on the cooler you're using, how many fans you have, all of that good stuff as you build your PC, but everything is well within range and it's doing a really good job. The fans are very quiet too for how fast they're spinning right now, especially those front fans. Very quiet. I'm impressed. Now we're looking at the PC case with our thermal cam here. This is pretty cool. Now we have the tempered glass side panel still on. I just want to see if there's any warm air trapped inside and where that heat buildup is. And you guessed it, as you'd expect, it's at the back side right here with our CPU, our GPU. Pretty cool. Let's look at the back side of the case as well. Same thing as you would expect. The GPU, our motherboard I/O right there. And we got our power cable and our power supply right there. That's kind of cool. Interesting that with this panel on, not much right there by the fan. There's the back side of the case. So definitely more heat built up right here above the power supply. where our CPU is. Pretty cool though. Love the FLIR camera. Now let's take this panel off and look at the inside again. All right, now we have the tempered glass side panel removed. Most of the heat here, as you'd expect, radiating from the motherboard and our GPU right here. Pretty cool to get that nice close-up look with the FLIR camera, where our source of heat is coming from. But the motherboard's radiating, GPU's lit up. Everything else, just a little bit around the fans here or there, and more obviously on the back side with the fans and our radiator. But there it is, a quick look with the FLIR cam. All right, now let's get to the good stuff here. What are my final thoughts after building and using this case, especially with my experience using the HAF 700 Evo? Well, here we go. First thing you might not like is the fact that this case is too big for you. Second thing is it's too heavy for you. Third thing, you don't like the design. But I would argue that you're here because you like how this case looks, you're looking for an extra large case, and you could care less about how heavy it is because it's gonna sit on the floor, maybe even on your desk if your desk is big enough, and you'd rather have a heavier case that hasn't skimped on the parts, the components, and the quality of their materials versus a lightweight, computer case that's just cutting corners wherever they can. So in regards to this versus the Evo, I love having that little display on the Evo version. That case also comes with a vertical mount GPU bracket, all the accessories you need right there. That definitely has a substantial purchase price increase from this case. So if you're just looking for the bare bones, don't want to pay for those extra features because you're not going to use them, this is definitely the solution for you if you can live without the little display on the front, which I would guess most of you can. Other than that, I mean, this is rock solid. There's so much room inside if you want to do, custom loops, cooling, all that good stuff. You want to make this basically your own home server. So many 2.5-inch drive slot options and 3.5-inch slots. And I'm thinking too, just longevity. Maybe you want to use this as your gaming, streaming, editing PC right now. In the future, when it reaches end of life in a couple of years, you might just want to then, remake this into your own personal server, cram it full of drives, and go on to your next build. This is an awesome case with plenty of longevity and plenty of space for you to build and design your computer however you want.